Good evening, everybody. My name is Jody. My husband David John and I have a small farm in the panhandle of North Idaho. These are our stories and adventures, so on with today's adventures. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and on we go. So as you see, we've got the one bed that we're going to do as the no-dig style. Got a little straw in it, but that's going to wind up going on this bed over here, which is going to be my corn bed. Just have to get some peat moss and compost on that. So we're at that stage. So let's go up, and I've got part of the compost pile, the big rough stuff that doesn't really break down, taken off, and show you what it looks like. And I wonder how many wheelbarrows it's going to take to fill this. And yes, I know I said in a recent video that I predominantly use soaker hoses for watering everything. And I've got the impact sprinkler going because the fact that I'm watering the potato beds, the garlic bed, and just the brassicas, they're not affected by the overhead watering as much. Making sure it's done and will be turned off in plenty of time for the plants to dry, so they won't develop powdery mildew. So that's what you hear in the background. But let's look at this compost bed. So this compost bin has been here for 10 years or more, and it's just everything soil-wise that's been left over has been dumped in here. We have added potting mix in areas for when we were growing the big pumpkins in it. So just have to go through, get it loosened up, because we do have the fennel weed, or it's straight fennel, but for us it's a weed that I have to see if I can get out. And there is wild rose growing in here. Really don't want to be adding that to my bed, so I'm going to be looking for those kind of roots as I'm going through and getting this ready to get moved over there. So get a bucket and start getting those beds filled. So here's my first wheelbarrow full. Probably don't want to be much fuller than this or I won't be able to move it. But get out of this. But that is some really good looking, it almost looks like straight potting mix now. And like I said, this stuff has been in there working and breaking down for years upon years. And I am finding a bunch of worms, so I'm going to add them to the garden mix. So get this one down there and continue with the process. So we're going to do a real quick duck intermission, and I'll show you what happened. She wouldn't let me see him this morning, but she was just off the nest, and I saw one and I heard him. Oh my. How many did you have, Mama? We've got a bundle under there. Looks like mostly brown and white like Mama, but I do see a black one. So we did get a little black and white one. She was trying to get him to come out, but they didn't want to come out. Okay, we'll let you go, Mama. But I just noticed this hen is off her nest. How many does she have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Probably a dozen. This little mama is due, I think, about a week from now. Yeah. And then we have this one right here that I've shown you before. And I got a little black and white one nesting right there. May have to figure out some sort of covering for her just because she's black and she's right in the sun. But I checked her eggs this morning and she had a dozen under her. So she'll be hatching in 38 days. Very cool to see. So now that that fun is done, let's go check the baby chicks. And I did wind up, if I can get out of the gate, losing one, and it was the one that had the, sorry about the sun, the really poopy bottom. Didn't catch it soon enough, but been regularly checking them to make sure their bottoms are clean. But because it has gotten really warm, raised their heat light a little bit and put this green fence up. But and then we got this group over here. They pulled the weed fabric back and are digging in the dirt. Oh well, I guess that's chickens. But I do have to go and sweep off the concrete. I think I'm going to get a stiff bristle brush or a wire brush to do a little better job, but I think it's working good. So I was able to get so far 9 wheelbarrows of aged compost soil out of there. Let's go down and look at the beds. It was a total of 6.5 wheelbarrows to fill this one no-till bed. It is 3 by 12 and 6 inches deep. So I think I'm going to be able to plant in it this year. We'll see. Just have to get a soaker hose to put on it, and we'll get it covered with some pine shavings. I'll show you what it looks like. So there it is, all in. And the corn bed got 2.5 wheelbarrows and some peat moss added to that. Just have to get it mixed and my corn planted. But I am going to do a light dusting of peat moss on this for now. And then tomorrow when I'm at work, I'll pick up another soaker hose so I can have this ready. And I got to get another one for the corn so it's ready so we can get corn planted. But getting there, still have to get some compost on those 2 far beds. Just a little bit, just to finish them off and get their hoses down. But it's starting to take off. Just got home, came up to check on the babies. Had a little bit of a interesting development, but show you the ones that hatched yesterday. They're right there, and that is not their mom. Their mom is way over there. So just gonna have to keep an eye and see if they wind up going into the brooder house. 'Cause that one hen is interested, but not in a super nice way. But let's go see the other thing that happened that I wasn't expecting. So their mom is actually over here because she's hearing, and yes, I thought this mom was way behind her. She's hearing those babies. Those aren't yours. So let's, because she keeps coming back here and leaving her other ones out there. Come on. Go find your babies. Quick stop at the water dish. Come on. Keep going. You've almost found them. There you go. You're not very attentive, Mom. So out here in the corn bed, because I thought I'd ordered more than just one package of the striped Japonica corn. It's a variegated leafed corn and with the purple corn cobs. And you can't really plant, if you want to save the seeds, you can't really plant more than one species of corn in an area or they cross-pollinate and you don't get anything good. So this, I'm just going to plant down the center of the row. In the front here, might be a little early on planting some bush green beans, but I'm not going to soak the seeds. So just hopefully watering the soil and keeping it nice and damp will just prolong them a little bit from germination. But then on the back, I'm going to do a slight mix of some sunflowers. I'm going to do a evening mix, Autumn Beauty, Teddy Bear, and Crimson Queen. So I'll plant half dozen or so along the back here and get it watered in good and get the rest of these beds finished off. So let's get these guys planted. So I wound up with enough corn seeds to do 3/4 of this bed, 3 rows. So we've got the one in the middle offset from the 2 on the outside, right next to a soaker hose, so they should get plenty of water when that's going on. So get those hills or those holes filled, the straw back on it, and plant green beans. So while I was out here working on these beds, was thinking about the duck issue and what I think, because I wound up pulling 6 more out of there and putting them in the brooder. What I think happened, because when I went to collect those 6, they were underneath the other 2 moms that were sitting on eggs. So I think what happened was the original mom got off the nest, went out, came back, and they just got confused about where they needed to be, hence the reason they really weren't following her around. They were following anyone around, be it a male or female chicken or a goose. They were following around. So I think they were just confused, and it's probably best that I pulled them. She's not very happy, but like I said, the other 2 hens, they're not due for another week on one and 2 weeks on the other, and won't do the babies any good to stay under them. So they're up in the brooder trying to figure it out with the baby chicks. So I think that will be the best option, and we'll just have to watch the other ones when they start hatching out. But got the no-till bed covered with shavings, soaker hose put in, watered in. Just have 6 more to do. And one thing I should have pointed out when I was planting the beans and corn in here is I kind of brushed on it, stating that I wasn't pre-soaking the seeds. Green beans, peas, and corn seed, you can pre-soak for 24 hours just to not so much increase germination rate, just the speed of germination. And because I wasn't expecting to get the corn planted that day, so I hadn't pre-soaked that, and the green beans were just an instant fill. And because I was in that in-between area that I wanted to make sure that it was warm enough, it'll just take a little more water going onto this bed, but they should be starting to sprout here in a couple days. So let's go up and check on the baby ducks and the baby chicks. It has been about 5 days since I took those ones from the one mama hen. We did lose a couple of the 6 that the second batch that I took. Of those 6, we lost 4, and that was my fault completely. I missed the step introducing them to the water dish. I figured there was the 12 others, they would show them the water. Evidently they didn't, and unfortunately they succumbed. But the other 14 are doing great and have integrated with the baby chicken flock. So let's go up and take a look at them. So there's all the babies underneath the heat light. The baby ducks really like the heat light, but it's one of those, if I keep it down too low, they will be really slow to feather out. And I want them working on feathering out. But where'd you go, little bird duck? This little guy here, yeah, it's okay. His father is actually my rowan drake, and you can tell that he's a mallard mix by the little stripe here at his eye. So this little guy is a mule, which means he or she is a sterile duck. Oh, yeah, come here, little feisty one. But as you see the baby chicks, they're really starting to get their flight feathers. And this guy's just really cute baby. Here's another light colored one. Look at that wing. Come here, little guy. And even the dark ones have got a white tip on their wings. But I really do like the concrete pad. It does require a little more maintenance than if it was just straight shavings, but the maintenance offsets the fact that with the heat light on it, it works twofold. It works as a heat sump because the concrete is warm, and then the heat light above, so they're kind of getting sandwiched. So I do go through once a day with a stiff bristled wire brush and a scraper and scrape it off. Try to convince the baby chicks to get off the concrete while I'm doing it. The baby ducks are really good about going over by the water dish and getting out of my way, but the baby chicks, not so much. So that's where I'm going to end today's video. Oh, you got the feisty. So this is where we're going to end today's video. I hope you have a good day and a good week, and we'll be back with more adventures. Yes, you're so pretty. But I think out of all the Muscovy ducklings so far hatched, this little white one, little tiny bit of brown on it, it's going to be so cute when it grows up, aren't you? Yeah, no jumping. Whoa.